Star Wars trailer has officially dropped along with the title for Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to go into too much elaboration, but in today's video, I just want to give you my thoughts on it, my opinions. As a fairly big Star Wars fan, I like the franchise, I like a lot of the movies, but if you've been following my channel for a while, you know I did not enjoy The Last Jedi or Solo. There's old videos on that, you're welcome to go watch, but today we're talking about Episode 9 and what I thought of this trailer, so without further ado, let's begin. Overall, I thought it was an okay trailer. There were parts that I definitely enjoyed, and there were parts that I was confused by and already starting to feel a little bit about. So let's start out with the beginning. It starts with Rey in the desert. Seen that before, and it appears that she's kind of in the same outfit that we saw her in Force Awakens, so you can clearly tell JJ's back in charge because you gotta have someone panting, and there's gotta be a desert. So we got both of those back. We've got this TIE fighter flying at her. There's a lot of speculation on who's flying the TIE fighter. I assumed it was Kylo Ren, but now I've been told via other YouTubers who are elaborating on the film that might not be Kylo Ren, that might just be someone else entirely. And I'm always confused when movies do this because when the ship flies closer and closer to her, I'm just like, why isn't the ship just shooting at her? If their goal is to kill her, just shoot now. And by the end of it, when she jumps over the TIE fighter, it's starting to feel like prequels again, where people would start just jumping crazily off of rocks and stuff. I was kind of okay with it in the original trilogy when people could hop like a little bit higher than a normal human could, but once it gets into the prequels and they start jumping like absurdly high, it starts to feel like a DC movie with superheroes flying around, crashing into each other. So I'm like, okay, calm down a little bit. This isn't helping the Mary Sue complaints about Rey. I also found seeing the original actor who legit played Lando in the originals now back at it again, playing Lando in Episode 9 feels a little sad. He looks kind of old and kind of tired, you know, he's just kind of sitting in the ship, and it feels like he's doing an impression of his original character, and I feel like the main reason they got him for this film was because they ran out of original actors to actually put in this film, so they needed something to tie them back to the originals or back to previous Star Wars titles, because Carrie Fisher's obviously gone. She's still in this trailer, but they're recycling footage from The Force Awakens that they're going to use in this movie, so I imagine her part is going to be quite small, and I can already tell by looking at the shot of the trailer. It was like, yeah, I know where that was filmed originally. She's wearing the same outfit that she was in Episode 7, so yeah, they're just kind of recycling old footage, which I hope they find a fitting and efficient way of putting an end to Leia's character now that Carrie Fisher has passed away. But it's also my prediction now that in order for these movies to go along with 8 and 7, they're gonna have to kill off Lando, because wouldn't be a Disney Star Wars film without one of the original characters dying, because that one we're gonna feel the most attached to because there's history, there's longevity there, particularly now with Solo being a movie. Even though I didn't like it very much, everyone's really attached to the Lando, so he's gonna go bye-bye. That was likely the only way they could get Lando back in this movie, is if they were like, please come back to be in Star Wars, and he was like, I'm freaking 95 years old, you want me to act in a movie again? It's like, we promised to kill off your character and we promise you $100 million, please do it. Alright, fine, I guess I will. I imagine the conversation was quite identical to that. Now, I did find a lot of the imagery in this trailer quite interesting. I love seeing the Kylo Ren helmet being welded together again, because I was always annoyed that Rian Johnson kind of wrote it out of Episode 8. I like that helmet. I thought it was iconic. I love the voice Kylo Ren had, and I always thought he looked so wimpy with the mask off. So now seeing that some creature or something was welding it back together, I'm excited for Kylo Ren to wear that helmet and use that voice box again, because I always found it way more menacing and way more cool than just Adam Driver, who is angry, and he's a good actor, but still, that Kylo Ren mask looks dope, and I'm glad to see they're bringing it back and they're not just leaving it in The Last Jedi. Also, given this film is called The Rise of Skywalker, I feel like that's kind of a giant wink wink, hint hint. Guess what? Rey's parents actually do matter, which at this point, knowing that they're writing Skywalkers back into the movie and also bringing the helmet of Kylo Ren back, this is essentially Star Wars, screw you Rian Johnson, we're gonna do it my way, directed by J.J. Abrams, because J.J. Abrams, I'm sure, had a lot of ideas and a lot of plans that he planted into The Force Awakens, and then Rian Johnson, for the sake of subverting everyone's expectations, had to go and and switch everything around and try to mix it all up again. Whereas now, I feel like JJ, now that he's back in control, not just because I think a lot of people were upset at The Last Jedi, but box office-wise, Star Wars is on a steep decline, which means that whoever you put in charge of your last couple movies, get rid of them and hire someone who knew what they were doing. Force Awakens grossed $2 billion at the box office, Rogue One was a little over $1 billion, and then Last Jedi was a little bit over $1 billion, and then by the time Solo came out, you're talking under $400 million, which means budget-wise, people are getting a little burned out on Star Wars, Disney, so you better hire someone back who knows what they were doing. And I think that was smart that they brought back JJ because he knows what he's doing. He introduced us to these characters, he knew how to make a likable Star Wars film, so I think it's best that you give him way more control than you gave Ryan, because he clearly just wanted to tick people off, i.e. Luke milking whale monster. Why did that make it into the cut of this movie? I have no idea. But anyway, I want to get to the end of this trailer, which concludes with Rey looking at the Death Star, which also kind of confuses me, because in the past few movies, in the original trilogy at least, when they blow up the Death Star, it's just a ship and then it completely dissolves into fire, dust particles, and nothing. There's no debris. It just explodes and it's gone. Whereas now that we're seeing like a giant piece of the Death Star sitting in an ocean, now it's making me think like, well, wait, so all the bits and pieces of the Death Star are like flying across the galaxy and crashed onto planets? So that would mean Endor probably had a meteor shower right at the end of Return of the Jedi, right? But we never saw that? I don't know. It's a cool image, but it makes me ask a lot of questions, which I think brings us to the best part of the trailer, that Emperor cackle. So iconic. I was so surprisingly not expecting it because I assumed the Emperor was dead for a long time now, with good reason. But I think with Star Wars, you have to learn that if someone is thrown down a pit, even if they're cut in half, even if their face is full of electricity, that doesn't mean they're dead. It just means they're gonna be inconvenienced for a little while. Darth Maul is back officially. Even in Solo, they reference that. And now it appears that the Emperor is back. And I really do hope he is back. I hope that's not a flashback, or I hope that's not a Force ghost or a reference when Rey touches a lightsaber and she hears the Emperor cackle. I really would be annoyed if it was just some kind of ghost like that. But no, if you're gonna tease us with the Emperor, who is one of the most iconic, one of the most quotable characters of Star Wars, so much of us love to do that Emperor voice, and so much of us love to meme everything that Palpatine said. If you're gonna bring him back, really do bring him back. Don't clickbait us into this movie by teasing us with just the laugh. So personally, I'm just really hoping that he's back and it's not some ghost. And I also just don't know how to feel about the Emperor being back. I'm excited because the memes are great. He's an iconic character, and I want to see how JJ ties it in with Episode 7, because I'm wondering if he's going to go along with the plot line that like Emperor Snoke was actually Lord Plagueis, and now that Lord Plagueis is dead, maybe Lord Sidious is okay with coming back now because he knows that his true master, who he was afraid of, would be his only rival, and now that he knows that Plagueis is dead, he's okay with coming out of hiding again, and maybe he was hiding on the Death Star all along. How all of that is going to tie in with our new characters between Kylo Ren and Poe and Finn and Rey. Is Rey going to even know who the Emperor is when he shows up? Would she know about that kind of thing? Perhaps Force Ghost Luke will teach her everything she needs to know, but hey, thanks to Rian Johnson, we know Force Ghosts can summon lightning whenever they want, so maybe if Luke wants to stop the Emperor, he can just spawn some lightning on him, electrocute him, and then he blows up. Thank you for that logic, Rian Johnson. Also, because of the new Force powers we saw presented in The Last Jedi, we know that at any time in this movie, if anything happens that could be bad, it might just be Rey projecting a version of herself that's not really there. Oh god, I hate that movie so much. You're gonna be constantly wondering, is that character actually there, or is this just an apparition? Ryan, why'd you have to go and do that? But regardless, I'm happy to hear that the original actor who played Palpatine is back again. I hope he gets a good amount of scenes and it's not just a Yoda cameo, and the advertising isn't just trolling us. I hope he genuinely is back and they have some long, convoluted, complicated plan of how Palpatine somehow survived that fall at the end of Return of the Jedi. But the sad thing is, it's probably going to result in, oh, Darth Vader didn't end the Sith. Rey killed the last Sith. She defeated Palpatine because she's the most powerful Jedi ever. She defeated Luke. She defeated Kylo Ren. She defeated Snoke. She could defeat anything ever because she trained with a stick once. So she's a lightsaber expert. I don't know. My hype for Episode 9 is sitting at a meh 5 out of 10. I'm kind of like, I'm curious to see where this is going to go. I'm interested. But honestly, I felt like Last Jedi was so disappointing that this can't be possibly more disappointing, could it? JJ's back in charge. It has to be at least somewhat entertaining. I'm not expecting it to be great. I feel like it's impossible now for Episode 9 to be like exceedingly entertaining, but I'm gonna keep my expectations low, kind of like I did for Infinity War, and hopefully that'll mean that when the movie comes out, I'll be happily pleasantly surprised by it, and I'll enjoy it quite a bit. And we can end the Star Wars saga for a third time on a positive note, and we can go home happy. Seriously though, I remember when Revenge of the Sith came out and all the marketing said, the saga is complete, it's the end of the saga. And I'm sure they said that when Return of the Jedi came out. And now, here we are, 2019, again, it's the end of the saga. The saga is complete. It's like, okay, how many times can we end the saga, people? Let's do it for real this time. Anyway, I'm sure you guys love the episode 9 trailer, so let me know what you liked about it down in the comments below or what you didn't like about it. But thank you all for watching, and I hope you have an excellent day. Take care.